All right. Well,
Yeah,
I guess that the fact that the hosts joined means recording started.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Whoa,
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah. Now, let's see here. Let me see if screen sharing works. No, I don't want to do that. All right, so I say this, and if I say this, does this work?
You are recording already?
As soon as I joined, it was recording. So,
okay.
So I think I don't know. I think that this automatically fires to Bevy, and I don't know if we can go and like trim things off afterwards. But otherwise, everything we say or do now is recorded for posterity.
Cool.
Screen sharing is working, so I've got the slides. Are good.
And then does that work for you guys?
Yeah, always. Except D/E always is a small d, no caps letters at all.
Oh, I can't do this.
That's
like
picky
doing,
about that.
That's like doing Adaptive with a capital A.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like there's no capital letters at all.
That's a compilation error.
Language, yeah.
Is this? Is it technically though DV conclusion?
Sorry, pardon?
Is it technically DVE conclusion though?
Yeah, but DVE is fine enough, so
okay,
don't need to mention the conclusion. It's too long.
All right. And Esteban, you are Montevideo, right?
Yep.
Okay, good.
You got it.
I guess that one, seeing as though like 90% of everybody in Uruguay lives in Montevideo, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it was an easy guess. Cool. Something always good to remember is people to drop questions in the QA. I think you need to start it because otherwise you cannot reply on threads, and that's painful. So
yeah, that's true.
Hey, hi Ted, hi Roman, hi Esteban.
Hey, guys.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Hey, nice
hello.
Hello.
Let's see here.
Hey Ted, I saw you at Adobe event in Atlanta. I think last week.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Did I run into you, or was it just that I was wearing my silly hat?
Yeah, no, I just saw that you and Wilson actually, you both are there.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
I think we have already met in Cox also. I think 2 or 3 months back we have a AEM user group also in Atlanta.
Okay, right. That's right. You are. Let's see, where are you from again?
You're asking me from which?
Yeah, which company do you work for?
I'm working in MasterCard.
That's right. Now I remember.
Yes. I introduced that. I do have like last 15 years. I'm working on the AEM product actually, like from the CQ days. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, that was unfortunate with that one. We couldn't record that whole. So that was like our secret our secret Atlanta discussion because we weren't able to get that recorded. We just had a really good meetup in North Carolina, and it was really fun. But that was one where, like, after that whole thing with Wilson and Cox and stuff like that, we were like, okay, are you double sure we can record? Are you triple sure? I'm going to bring my own guy and we're going to record. So you say we can record, but we're going to also record. And then we had to get it like signed off that we were recording so that we didn't have that happen again. Yeah, I don't know, Romanov, if we're meant to mark everybody as not in presenter mode as soon as we actually start. I don't really care, but I think that, let's see, presenters, all presenters stuff. Hey, Raf. Raf, you're an old timer on Bevy hosting. When folks join on this, are we meant to go and move them all into non-presenter mode so that we can add everybody in?
Well, the meeting should have been set up where you have collaborative mode. So there's like two modes when you create the meeting. There's a collaborative mode, and then there's like a checkbox option.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I guess it's because I have an account with Bevy. That's why I'm able to like actually be on the call.
Yeah.
Oh, Jenna's there.
Uh-oh. Adults are in the room.
Yeah, and one of the things that I was going to ask about too, I know that you're covering off on Sites Optimizer. I thought that there was going to be a Thursday frequency on the Discord group, and it's been kind of like rescheduled a couple of times now. I wasn't sure like which one was going to happen first, but I was going to see if I can get the takeaways from whichever call was going to happen first and bring it to the next one.
Okay. Yeah, well, we'll see. There may or may not be takeaways from this call on Sites Optimizer.
There's got to be. I've got several already.
Yeah.
Teed up. Yeah.
Yeah, Dominic, who runs the Discord session, he's on vacation currently, so there's not much going to happen. I think he's going to be back somewhere end of next week.
Got it.
Is Dominic in your neck of the woods, or is he up in Berlin?
Dominic, he is living in Basel.
Oh, in Basel. Oh, okay.
Basel, AEM headquarter, Basel.
Yeah. Yeah, if all things were equal and I could move to any city with no financial or citizenship repercussions, it'd be somewhere between Basel and Zurich. I love those towns.
Have you ever been to Bern? When we talk about Swiss cities,
I haven't actually. I haven't been to Bern.
My opinion, the coolest city in Switzerland.
Really? I mean, yeah. I've explored it on Google Maps enough, but I haven't been.
One of the things I've heard about Bern is that what people can do is they can actually throw their stuff into these like waterproof packs and then jump in the river, and then that's their commute home.
I've seen people do that in Basel, though.
Okay, yeah, in Basel they do it as well, but originally it comes from Bern. I also was living like a few years in Bern. It really is like people when they finish work and you're like somewhere on the Aare, the river. Yeah, you jump in and go back home, or in the morning you go to work. It depends on which side of the city you live, because the river unfortunately just goes in one direction. So
yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yo, Brian.
Yeah.
Well, we're up to 28 people in here. Look at that. All right, you know what? We can just kick off and then just kind of start our spiel, I think, and then go on from there. Give me just a second, and I'm going to share my screen. Or I'm going to try anyway. Let's see here. Oh, come on back. All right. Well, welcome. This is Office Hours, and the official host for this Office Hours is me and Esteban and Roman. We're all AEM champs and all been in the AEM business for a little while. But I'd be willing to bet that there's even going to be people on this call who've been in longer than us. But we're fairly old timers. Roman, I think you've probably got us. Like you're longer term than me, right?
CQ 3.5 in
Yeah, so you got me there.
2004 I started. I had the first trading.
You got me by a few years there. You got me by a few
Wow.
years. I was 2010, so I'm a latecomer. I'm like brand new to this field. Seven. What about you, man? I never asked. I don't think.
I started in 2012, so I'm the youngest. Yeah, finally youngest.
That's right. And then you might recognize Roman also from Adaptive, because he hosts Adaptive, which is not supposed to plug other things, but Adaptive is wonderful. So today, though, what our goal was here is to talk AEM Sites Optimizer, as well as all kinds of other new AI agentic capabilities for AEM. And we wanted to treat this like a literal office hours. Like what if we all just had a beverage of our choice and we were meeting in the break room and we were all going to chat about something. And so I got mine, but I'm onto electrolytes now. Coffee pot's empty. But yeah, so I would love to just, if you got questions or something you really particularly want to hear about, then throw it in the chat or just speak up, and then we'll talk about it. We may or may not have answers for everything. I've tried some things. Roman's tried some things. Stefan's tried some things, and I know that I already know there's people on the call here, Brian and Rolf, and a bunch of you folks who've been furiously working with a bunch of these new Adobe things. And let's just share our experiences, and hopefully we can answer everybody's questions and make this valuable. I got a couple of housekeeping slides that I think that Jenna, being the adult in the room, she would chastise me if I didn't go over. So here I go. So we've got a couple of upcoming AEM user groups. We've got one coming up February the 24th on Splunk migrating to Edge Delivery, which that was actually a real success story, and I would tune into that one if I were you, because that is a cloud service to Edge Delivery migration, and I know some of the folks that were on that. It's a neat success story, and I'm a huge Splunk fan myself, so it's fun to see them succeed. Marketo one, and then the next one that this is the next one is Greg. That's you, and goodness, I'm forgetting your partner in crime there. But y'all are putting this one on, right?
Shashi, yep. That's
right. Shashi, you were on this call? I thought I saw you. I thought I saw him. But anyway, that's great. Good. So we got those coming up. Additionally, let's see, AI Forum, just one of them left. I was at the AI Forum. We were just talking about this at the beginning. So we're at the AI Forum in Atlanta. There's one last one coming up on the 24th in San Jose. I do recommend this. It's neat to understand not only what tools are out there, but also how Adobe is positioning them, because these have all been like tinkerers like us. And now it's definitely getting way more mainstream, and it's interesting to know how these are being marketed to organizations, so we all can kind of do our parts as technologists to forward the things that matter. Let's see, Experience Maker Awards. You know, it's funny, I didn't read this slide entirely when I got it, but I guess this is happening on the Sunday of Adobe Summit. So one can tune into this, or it's going to be that Sunday in person. And speaking of which, oh, whoops, that's not the right slide. That's this slide. Anyway, this again, Greg, you're back on the spot. This is the AI, talking about AI community group. You want to say a couple words on this?
Oh, this is me.
This is you again, man. I called you out on that last user group too that you arrived to. You can't get away.
I don't think this is the Let's Talk AI community group is not hosted by me, but I know Susan Aziz, like the
that's right. That's right.
Product management has started this conversation online. I don't have the link. We can put it here in the chat, but it's a great conversation because a lot of practitioners are coming on and they're contributing their ideas. Obviously, you can scan the QR code to go to that too. But yeah, everybody has contributed to the great ideas and feedback in the conversation. So yeah, that's set up by the product team. Yeah.
Right on. Right on. All right. Thank you, man.
Sure.
All right, good. And then lastly, I want to talk Adobe Summit. So we're going to talk about a whole bunch of different products. Some of them are released. Some of them are not released yet. Some of them are still being productized. Some of them, they're still figuring out how they're going to productize. A bunch of that is the rubber's going to meet the road at Adobe Summit. This is probably, if you've like previously, Adobe Summit has like launched like, oh, we were on 6.4 and now we're going to 6.5. Let's go see what 6.5 has. Like, that was interesting. Now it's like, there's a lot of products that simply weren't even on the market. This is definitely a summit to go to. So if you aren't already signed up, there's still room. Definitely sign up. I can't plug that enough this particular year. Okay, good. House rules. So this being under the umbrella of Adobe user groups, this is, even though a bunch of us are from consultancies and so forth, nobody's going to be promoting or plugging anything. We're not here to push any of our products and things like that. We're here to talk Adobe stuff and share our views and successes and so forth. So, and also there's a lot of names on here. People are using our real names. Tad is improbably my actual name. But don't talk to people outside of the user group without their consent. And yeah, and if we got case study stuff too, then don't also bring up people's case studies that they bring up without their consent. Sometimes they may have already given their consent, but yeah, just talk to them first. And this is being recorded, so already being recorded. I've already said silly things and it's been recorded. And share your experiences. So definitely screenshot this QR code and then you get a gift card. So here we go. As noted, we're going to visualize that we're in a break room having coffee or a beverage of your choice and are going to talk AI stuff. So we're going to discuss things, but again, we may or may not discuss the thing. We may not be prepared to discuss the thing that you want to talk about. So just speak up, ask in the QA and or directly, and we will take it up. So, all right. So I guess, so A is all over the place right now. There are product categories that exist at Adobe that didn't previously exist. Products that were barely announced at Adobe Summit that are now mainstream. Products that didn't even exist at all at Adobe Summit last year that are now already being sold. So this is like changing all the time. LM Optimizer is the one that I'm referring to. LM Optimizer wasn't even on the drawing board as of Adobe Summit. It got on the drawing board like a month after Adobe Summit and then is already a product that's in the hands of everybody who's got an AEM cloud service license right now. So if you have a cloud service license, if you didn't know this already, you go to llmo.now, give it a go, log in with your Adobe ID, and you can start tinkering with it immediately. It gives you like 200 prompts out of the gate, but we're not here to talk about LMO. That's actually next month's office hours. But we got agents, and there was a whole mess of them that were meant to be announced. Right now, we're at 6 official agents, and I haven't played with them all. So I'm going to just preface that right now. And Roman, I know that you've played with some and you haven't played with them all, right? Same with you, Esteban?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And in my opinion, it's like 5+1 agent.
Right.
Because one agent is much more mightier than the other one, in my personal opinion. So it's like the one agent, previously known as the experience catalyst. This is more like a whole tooling, in my opinion. So like you have like the 5 agents plus the one who was a product and went to an agent.
That's right. That's right. So you've got that. And then you've got a bunch of official, or at least officially sanctioned pieces of AI tooling that are coming out for both AEM, traditional AEM, and edge delivery. And just as a nomenclature note, if I say, so I don't know if this is this term is still being surveyed and so forth, but right now, for the time being, I'm going to say traditional AEM if I'm referring to AEM JCR. So as opposed to AEM edge delivery, which is just, we're going to say edge delivery. AEM is like an overarching product category, vibe, feeling that you get when you're working on stuff. AEM is like this neat feeling. Traditional AEM is we're going to be AEM JCR, then you get edge delivery. So anyway, so there's MCPs and AI tools officially, or at least officially sanctioned and supported, that are for both traditional AEM and edge delivery. So let's talk first. Let's just get right into this because we can just talk about what we know and what we've used. And I'm really interested for people who have rubber meets the road actual use case experience with Sites Optimizer to please, if you wouldn't mind, I would love to hear your experience. So just to set the stage, Sites Optimizer was first broadly released at Summit last year. It's a whole cloud service that utilizes a whole bunch of different endpoints and data points to try to go and pull info on your site to find things that could be better, and to give you tools to fix it or remediate issues that could be better, and with the idea that it's a mega labor saver for the whole idea of maintaining and optimizing site for performance, for SEO, for accessibility, and so forth. So that's what it says on the brochure. That's on the glossy brochure. Implementing that in real life is, as it turns out, extremely hard because of that slide that we were talking about earlier about how you're implementing this across a feeling of AEM. You have to be able to implement this. You've got, when people say, does it work on AEM? You're talking about 6.5 LTS, cloud service, edge delivery, meaning edge delivery on SharePoint, edge delivery on DA, edge delivery on Universal Editor. And so that's a lot of surfaces to try to work with. From what I know right now, and this is, so I've been talking back and forth, and Dec Reyes, did you end up on this call? I don't know if he did. He was considering it. So as of the most recent stuff that I've heard, so there's a lot of optimizations that's been done for Sites Optimizer on traditional AEM, on AEM Cloud Service, and the support on edge delivery is much more fractured, and to the point where on the sites. So some of you know I'm kind of a DA fangirl, and a lot of that support does not work presently on DA. So so I've had limited use of this. And Roman or Esteban, do you want to talk about any of your touches with this? And also Raf, I know that you've had touches on this too. Not to, if you were planning on being a consumer rather than a presenter on this, but if you want to talk about this as well, then I'd love to hear what you got to say.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have too much feedback on the use of Sites Optimizer, but I do have, questions around it, questions around things like governance and the automation for things such as the fix part of it, right? So it has these suggestions, it can fix these, but what about organizations that have strict pipelines, right? What do you do in situations like that, or really heavy customizations?
Yeah.
What do you do in situations like that too? So that's the kind of stuff that I wanted to hear about a little bit more, is how do you bake that in with CI/CD pipelines and ensuring that some of this, AI generated code or content changes don't bypass what an organization has in place.
Yeah.
Well, I think,
yeah,
sorry.
go ahead. Go ahead.
I think that's a great point, because we are talking about a first version, something that recently got released, and to that point, there's a lot of things to cover yet, and I think the tool will evolve. And I think for now there's a limit to access into what really the tool can do. But I think we need to look at through the lens of to a non-technical person who can use this, and perhaps getting insights or fixing something that if you're not a developer, you can fix by yourself. Probably is great in that regards. But into these details of really touching custom components. I don't know if any of these agents actually can touch custom components yet, but I think this will evolve at some point, and we can see them do wonders at some point. But I think this is the first version. That's something we need to keep in mind, right? This I don't know, it's half a year, 6 months, something since this got launched or something. So it's still Roman's once mentioned that recently we just gotta add this new agent. So things are still, probably names will change in future as usually do. So yeah, I think we need to be optimistic in how this will evolve at this point. But I think for some of the real custom things, it cannot necessarily work at this point, but hopefully it will work at some point.
Well, so the thing is that there's a lot of tooling that's kind of that had to be worked out for some of the other agents, that I could imagine it making its way into this thing as well, because I know that there's a whole API in the backend that had to be developed for consuming things like Lighthouse data and Ahrefs, which who knows, maybe that's going to, Adobe bought SEMrush, and maybe that data is going to be incorporated as well. But so with that, we already know that some of these other agents can already talk to things like DA and your code base directly, because they have to. Like they have, like the modernization agent, which we'll talk about in a sec, can already talk to your code base and your content, because it has to in order to build out content. So it'd be like, for me personally, and I've already given my wish list as well, like things like okay, so you found that I don't have a bunch of alt tags, or you found that my sitemap is misconfigured and therefore is blocking a bunch of content. You already have access to my code base. Can you just drop me a PR and tell me what you would do, and I'll just look at the PR? Like that seems to me like it's sitting right there as a thing that could possibly, that I would love. Like if something surfaced for me, like, hey, yo, your sitemap's all weird, would you like me to suggest a fix? Oh yeah, I sure would, and then have it just drop you a PR, and you can just say, oh good, I'll stick that in the pipeline.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I'm not from product management, so I'm not really sure where the way will go. But I guess at the moment you have kind of duplicates. You have like Site Optimizer, who was there. It was the first tool, the first optimizer tool. And now the agents are here. Now we have a lot of overlap. As I said, Optimizer still very good in monitoring site health and so on.
Yeah.
But the parts, when it goes about fixing stuff, there's still a lack of it. But the agents are doing that currently. So I guess they're going to put much more time and efforts now in the whole agents, and the agents will take over some stuff Site Optimizer had. And I think this is probably going to be the future. But
I totally agree.
It's just my gut feeling.
Yeah, and I think also, because if you look at the opportunity that's there, like we've all, if you've ever been on a website that has a whole bunch of pages, like any one of these, like any 10,000, 20,000 plus page website, the maintenance overhead of like, oh, I changed a block on the page, did that have a cascading effect on accessibility all over the place? And I didn't look at it. Well, am I supposed to look at it now? Am I supposed to make sure that every time that somebody changes something, now I have to go back through it? Like that's a pain. That is a full-time employee doing things like that. So if you automated all that, then that really is cost that you could pass on and time that you could give back to your devs and product people to do other interesting things. Timothy, I see you got your hand up.
Say something. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to? I think you're able to speak up. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I just have a question in terms of adoption. As you're mentioning, the ability to stay in AEM is really great from an efficiency perspective, but most organizations that are running AEM likely have had an SEO practice for quite some time.
Yep.
Likely have had a Bright Edge or Conductor or SEMrush on their own. And have been using those tools for decades at this point. Then those tools are part of their everyday workflow, as you're mentioning, in terms of content suggestions, content rewrites, content publishing. Have you seen, and as you mentioned at the top of the call, it was barely announced at Summit, and then it hasn't even been a full year yet, but have you seen people migrate from mature SEO practices that included a lot of this functionality and practices to Sites Optimizer, or is it still in the early days?
I'd say it's very early days. That's my feeling. I would love to know anybody else's thoughts on that. Autumn.
Yeah. So I've seen it's what I've seen, and I think Ralph and I have seen this in a few other clients. At least they want to do that. That's the goal, right? Is we're getting to the point where they're looking at their code, they're looking at what their licensing is when it ends. If it ends at the end of December, what do they need to do to get ready to let go of that licensing and let go of that function within their flow that will allow something else to take over, and then making sure that AI has that full capability or something internal, or using other tools outside of those licensings that are free, or using some agentic experience.
Yeah. I dig that. I think it's a little bit of a new market for Adobe on this too. This is a place that I don't necessarily know that they've played a whole ton with. It doesn't fit into the verticals that they are entrenched in.
Trying to figure out what is optimized, like what they're everything's all inclusive. They need it for the customers that only have one or two products, right? So you're trying to work with type of end user for each of these products and how they all coexist together.
Yeah. All right, well, speaking of products that coexist together, I think we could. So, does anybody have any other things on site? Because we can talk other agents and other AI stuff, and we've got a bunch of other nonsense to go over. So,
I do have another question about Sites Optimizer and on performance attribution, right? So one of the things that they talk about is projected traffic value. I would want to try to find out a little bit more about that, because obviously for AI adoption and helping our clients, we want to talk about those insights specifically, meaning how granular can we get with those? Do they export to Adobe Analytics or AEP, and can they actually prove a direct ROI of an AI optimized variant versus a manual one, right? So that's the kind of stuff I would want to try to find out, again, just to build the case for clients and some of the AI adoption of it.
Yeah, you'd think that feedback loop would become really productive after a while too, because as you get a couple cycles through that, you could actually prove something out.
Yeah,
theoretically, we get smarter.
And then would you get to a point where your ROI has been maximized, right? So, okay, Sites Optimizer, you did your job, very good, thank you. Like at one point, do you kind of keep going there too?
Right. Well, but Sites Optimized. That's the other thing too, is because you're always, because like you've seen this after every site launch, right? There's the MVP gets out the door, and then somebody's got this great idea about, we said we were going to forklift everything over. Yeah, we did that. Okay, good. New nav, and then you've got this, new hero, new this, and we're going to have movies and all this other stuff, and now it's not optimized anymore. So each one of those changes to try to measure their impact. I like the idea of a robot doing that for me. But then again, like Autumn was saying, there a lot of people with mature SEO already have robots that are doing that for them, and it's not like Ahrefs and things like that are taking Adobe's competition on that sitting down. So it's going to be a really interesting landscape to understand how they compete in.
Exactly, because you have like two kinds of companies. You have the ones that have like more static pages or static sites. There's not a new navigation all the time or new features because they have the big relaunch. After the relaunch, you need Site Optimizer to keep everything in shape. But then there's content changes and that's it. And probably for them, the Site Optimizer way too much. And then you have the other ones that do a lot of changes, a lot of involvements and improvements. They already have their CO department, they have their geo department, they have everything already in place. So it is kind of a product in a niche who is hard to position at the end.
Yeah, so this is where I think there's also, and like you were saying, Roman, there's kind of a blending and crossover and overlap between this and an LLM optimizer, because you've got a lot of companies out there that have like a decade-long SEO strategy around a certain category of pages, which are designed as the top of the funnel to grab people who are searching for this keyword that they have been meticulously and repeatedly optimizing for these sets of keywords. And now this is like blown up by the ChatGPTs and the Geminis of the world that are like, now nobody's going to these pages because they're just getting their thing auto summarized. So I think there's a lot of room to be continuously like really getting innovative on LLM. How do you still jam people into the top of the funnel with that new world? I mean, luckily my customers haven't had a lot of massive impact, but I could imagine that this impact is impending. Has anybody else found that this is something that they really need to customer cases where this is really need to get thrown into gear?
I know for my business, we're talking about it a lot, and we're using this and looking at it. So yeah, we've gone from worrying about SEO to worrying about GEO.
Yeah.
I think also we need to keep in mind that, GEO, we are talking all over the place, but in reality, there's no standards. This is still emerging. And I feel like back in those days when SEO was actually rising and, still we didn't have any inputs from Google. And until Google actually told us, in order for you to be in the rank, you need to do, you need to do sitemaps, you need to do robots and so on, that things start to actually settle a little bit. And then we could fully rely on these tools. So I think what Adobe is trying to do is great because they are trying to kind of setting the lead on how we could start measuring geo. But until everything is kind of standardized, and it's going to take a while, as it was with SEO, we need to try to take this with a little bit of caution, because I've seen. I was working with a client, and we have seen these big discrepancies between tools. Like one of them is telling you is great on chat prompting, but the other tool is not. And it's funny because the prompts you configure in these tools, the AI always gonna return a different response. So it's really hard to measure if this is really making it or not. So I think this will be evolving, but I think it's great what Adobe is proposing, how this is measuring. I think is a great thing that we can follow, but always trying to keep the bigger picture that this is still in development, and some things will at some point we will get more clarity on those. So.
And already we already know that some of these phrases are completely different in terms of what sort of results that they like on how useful they are. Like I had to buy, like last night I was shopping I finally blew out my old cycling shoes, so I had to get new mountain biking shoes. If you do a search on any like a product type search on a regular traditional search engine, you say like best mountain bike shoe or best price on blah, blah, blah. These best type search terms are useless. They give you all these silly, over SEO'd pages that are just not useful for a search. Whereas an LLM, I tried the same search in Gemini, Grok, and Copilot, and they all were actually genuinely useful on like, okay, the best price for this thing is this, this, and this. And they were all actually up to date product detail pages, and the PDPs had stuff in my size. I was like, that's pretty useful. So I can imagine that the amount of shakeup that's going to happen on over-optimized SEO pages is going to be gigantic. Brian, so you're going to hand up.
Yeah. So in this case, I've been actually using the large language model optimizer for like maybe 2 straight months now, and actually realized that that Adobe tool actually, compared to other AI tools, actually provides like pretty good information, just because you can actually see which websites are citing. Which responses are citing your website, and also like which other smaller websites are referencing to your website, and then in this case, your website is showing up in the citations because of that. And maybe someone's saying something bad about your brand, like on Reddit, and then you're able to see it on the Adobe large language model optimizers. So it's really good for the content strategists and also like the branding team to have their hands on this tool. It's really good for like content strategists, to people who want to build the brand. But then when like the technical people, like for example, like I'm more technical, so I like to see is our content actually being respected by AI visibility. So in this case, like I worry more about the AIO parts. So artificial intelligence optimization, that's the parts where SEO is in play, structured data content is in play, and also like accessibility. I mean, screen readers are not a part of the AI visibility, but it's good for you to optimize your website for screen readers. But at the end of the day, like when your website is set up with all the correct HTML markup and schema, this goes back to SEO. Like if your website is 100% up to date with SEO best practices, your website is pretty much AI visible at that point. And then what's next? So what's next is actually to pull in a content strategy team, and then they have to produce more content, optimize content on your website, making sure that all the content that is on your website is useful, and also it answers questions that real people would be asking for. And at the same time, like I would say that the content strategy team would have to use your Google search console, and then they would have to put that query in. Like Adobe has this webinar where they have this long regex that you can plug it into your search console to actually see how people are asking questions on Google, because on these large language models, you actually don't know what people are asking for.
Right.
But inside the site, the search console, you can actually have a glimpse of what these customers may be searching for. So yeah, at the end of the day, like once when you got your SEO plan in place for your website, the next thing is content. And once when you give that to the content team, it's up to the content team to boost the visibility of your website at that point, because we have done all our best on the technical side.
And then, I think that all the suggestions that LMO gives you for offsite optimizations like that is super awesome. One other thing that I thought of too is that, and I don't know if anybody has a second to go and search it up and throw it into the chat for us all, but there's the talk that Cedric Hussler and Martin Bierge gave at Dev Live that explained how LLMs work and how that fits into the grand scheme of things. That was like citable, referenceable, like an amazing talk that I think any technologist that is trying to understand how their stuff is playing into this needs to watch. It was genuinely insightful. So, and some of it's general stuff. Some of it's like, how does an LLM produce a search result? You should understand that if you're trying to optimize for it. So, Rafa, so you get your hand up.
Yeah, no, I did see that presentation too, and it was pretty eye-opening, I think, when they said that if your site doesn't load within just, 2-3 seconds, then you're invisible, right? Like you won't even show up in those those geo results, which I thought was really interesting. But I actually had another question. and it's sort of a two-part question, and this might apply, it might not. Obviously, LLMO is intended for, public search results, right? But what about things like, internal or B2B kinds of use cases where you might even have, like a private RAG, that retrieval augmentation generation. If you have a case like that, is that something that would even be a use case? I mean, I kind of feel like it would be. And is Adobe going into that direction of potentially supporting any kind of B2B use cases and RAG, RAG kind of like private RAG ecosystems?
Yeah, I don't know. Because I mean, they're already dipping their toes into that with the new AEM search. I don't know if anybody's implemented that on a customer site yet, but that's super exciting. There's a great Adaptive talk on that. There was all that new RAG-based asset search and also on-site search that can be served from AEM Publish. Like, that's super cool. But yeah, I don't know, Raph. That'd be a great question for the Adobe folks. Betsy.
Yeah, I just want to call out with that AI search, at least in the assets environment. We were really sad to see that Adobe made that an all or nothing. So you either have AI search or you have index search, but you can't toggle between both.
Oh, seriously?
And that's really hard in a production environment for a retailer where you're going by very specific searches like SKUs, right? UPCs or internal item numbers. So we opened a ticket and we were told that they cannot toggle it back. So we're now raising it up our leadership chain for conversations. But it might serve up well on sites, on the website, like from a user experience, but from an admin perspective, it's tough.
Oh, that's a really good call. I mean, I mean, obviously if you knew about that, then that would have been a technical choice you would have made beforehand, but that's
right. Yeah. Well, we were part of the beta for semantic search and we had the toggle. We were never told that they were going to take the toggle away from us. So all the feedback that we gave was based upon, well, we can still do our production based searching and et cetera, as well as, semantic search. But we never were offered that. So when it went into production, it defaulted to AI. And when we searched like one 14-digit UPC, we got 500 returns, even though we knew we had one asset for that UPC.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so it's not great. I would highly recommend that anybody that's in kind of in the same boat where you need to do production-based, very fact-based searches
right.
versus that AI to check it out and provide your feedback to Adobe.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because you if it's completely non-deterministic and you could get any old thing and you need it to show this one product. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah. Stephen Moore?
Hey, Ted. Yeah, I understand that LLM Optimizer is to help your website to get search in the this AI tools like ChatGPT or Perplexity or Claude and also. Same way, like Adobe has recently purchased one more product called SEMrush, right? That is also for using it for the AI search. So what would be the more differences between these two and when we can use which tool actually?
Oh, so on the SEMrush thing, I don't have any inside data. I wish I had inside data because that'd be super cool, but I have no inside baseball. It's one of these ones where I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you've played with LLM Optimizer yet. It's out there and it is cool, and you can see how the data it has compares. It's definitely not a drop-in replacement for a SEMrush or an Ahrefs. So if you're already using that, there's a lot of very different data that you're getting out of that. So I don't actually know what the product strategy is in that. I'm actually really hoping that comes is something that comes out of Summit. Roman, go ahead.
Okay.
I think on the analytical part, like analyzing your page, for sure, SEMrush has like very similar tools, some even mightier. What I've heard from our SEO department, because the SEO departments, they work with such SEMrush tools. I didn't know them before as well, but I've compared a little bit, and so like from like analyzing stuff, there's similarity, but where LLM Optimizer absolutely has like the pro is like more or less the last sentence, where you can like have the suggestion, have them approved, and have them fixed immediately. That's something because SEMrush currently doesn't have the connection to AEM. But I think what Adobe wants to buy with SEMrush is just like this tremendous knowledge they have. They do SEO since ages, and also in the geo part, they're already super strong and like kind of a market leader. I think they want to have this knowledge to put it into the products like LLM Optimizer to make them like super mighty at the end. So I'm really looking forward. I think the deal is not closed yet. That's the last thing I heard. And I really hope that this time it works out, because that can boost like this whole SEO, geo, and all this stuff into AEM and boost the platform even, makes it even better.
Yeah. I mean, because it's obvious that it's not 100% closed, because Sites Optimizer is still getting data from Ahrefs. Like if you look in your Sites Optimizer console, it'll tell you that it's getting data from Ahrefs. So those are mortal enemies of each other.
Yeah, Ted, I have a follow-up question on that. So, Adobe Sites Optimizer, right? It is going to provide you the report, and if you allow that, it is going to our AEM and it will fix the issues also. And same thing, Adobe LLM Optimizer also, it can find the issues and it can showcase it in the dashboard. At the same time, is it going to AEM and fix the issues as well?
So AEM again is like which AEM are we talking about? Because I know that there are some bits of cloud service where if you've got like a traditional JCR type cloud service setup, that it'll go in there and suggest and even potentially make, in some cases, content fixes in the author that you can then okay and publish. But then in terms of like if you've got an edge delivery page, let's just say it's authored on DA, that is right now not a connection that's there. If you've got content, let's just say that's being served, or let's say you have something else, and this is another like opportunity for Adobe product folks, because so on an edge delivery page, all this stuff, some of you may be familiar with this, that there used to be files in your repository that controlled things like your indexes and your sitemaps and your robots.txt and a lot of this stuff, which is now sitting in a configuration service at Adobe. So this is the edge delivery configuration service. And so last week or the week before, all the file-based access was all turned off. Nobody really knew, but it is. But what this means is that you can now, that Sites Optimizer could potentially go and poke those changes directly into config service if it knew how to and if you approved them. So, Steven?
Yeah, I think something worth to mention here is with the LLM Optimizer, there's this new functionality called Optimize at the Edge, which I'm seeing right now. It got last update yesterday, and you know what these things do, or what it's trying to do is, I don't know the magic behind the scenes, but is delivering an optimized version of your page HTML in your CDN. This is CDN agnostic, so supposedly it's working with your own CDN, regardless if this is Fastly or EDS or AEM as a cloud. So supposedly you can fix this technical debt for good, at least for some time. And I'm seeing Raf is asking about how this could change the role for architect. And I think the way at least I see it, this is not a permanent fix. Like you could have on AEM, usually when you fix something or you break something, it will have a cascade effect on several pages. So I think LLM Optimizer maybe can give you a temporary fix if you use this edge functionality, but at some point I think you need to go back and fix for good. I'm thinking one of my clients had some issues with server-side rendering. His site is fully working with a front-end client-side rendering framework. So it's pretty bad. It's hurt by the scores of LLM Optimizer and performance and so on. So you can actually with the at the edge feature, you could fix some of these pages. But this is not a definitively solution. At some point, you need to go back and fix the architectural depth in there. So something worth to
and whether or not this because the limitation that's solving is the fact that most LLM crawlers don't have the compute budget to execute JavaScript, and so they can't go out and open, they don't have enough to be able to open up a Chromium browser and run the JavaScript that runs your navigation and your card elements and all the other things that have content on them that are generated with JavaScript. And so that, like I got a little rundown on how that works, and some of that is, I think it's already public, so I can, so it's talk aboutable. I think I can find a link to throw in the chat on Optimize at Edge, because that actually is a product at this point. But it's basically going, and it's separate infrastructure. So you basically go and throw a rule into your CDN that says, if I'm any one of these crawlers that are coming in, then don't go straight to my website. I'm going to shunt you to separate infrastructure, which is
interesting.
It's on AWS, but it's provisioned by Adobe, but it basically has pre-hydrated versions of your whole page, and so that is cool. I meant to actually have that working on one of my sites last week before my presentation, but I didn't get there. But if anybody has had experience with that, and so we're the next month's office hours is going to be all about Elmo. So if somebody, sorry to call it that, somebody called it that one time and I can't unhear it. It's Elmo to me. Said in Elmo's voice. But the next month's office hours is going to be AEM Optimizer, and if anybody's got that working, I would love to compare notes because it's a super cool product. Hey, we've only got 10 minutes left, but I want to get a chance to talk about some other AI bits, because I'll bet you lots of other folks on this call have done AI bits. So there are, so Adobe has, so they had a bunch of agents they released last year at Summit, and these have all been kind of boiled into, I think, 6 agents that they are productizing right now. And they've even released ways that you can buy them, because these were like very theoretical. Like they were like looking for early implementation partners and so forth, and they weren't necessarily out there in the world. They are actually SKUs that can be bought now, and it's like a credit-based system to be able to go and get runtime on these, get tokens on these, and make them go. So there's a production agent, experience production agent to automate AEM content production tasks. There's an optimization agent. There's a discovery agent for finding content. So dev agents, again, there's dev agents that go in pipelines, and I've seen demos of this, but there's also that, and then very separately, there's all the other AI skills for edge delivery and so forth. And then there's governance agent. I have not touched even a little bit. I don't know if you guys have. Brand integrity and compliance. And then modernization agent, which is the only one of these that I've actually really put my hands on. This is the one that I've been like the most excited about since it was first released. The whole idea in this, and I'll talk about this, and if anybody else has tried this too, I'd love to hear it. So the whole idea here is you want to make getting onto edge delivery as easy as possible. And it's brand new architecture, and you want to make it as easy as possible. And it's totally, because edge delivery is all just HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, it's really friendly for AIs to go and do stuff with. And so folks at Adobe have found that it actually is practical to have robots look at your site and remake large fractions of it and do a lot of the things that were manual about moving content over. And now it is very practical to have it go and do things by itself. So I saw it go like 8 months ago. And it kind of, some things it was okay at, and some things it would kind of turn into dog food. So I've got access to it right now. It's really cool. It's really, really. It actually does surprisingly well. You can throw it at your blocks in your code base. You can give it keys to DA and say, yo, here's my content that I have right now. I want content kind of like this, but can you make it styled like this? And I have 400 pages, and here's my list. And I send it out, and it does remarkably well. So it's going to really change how content migration projects are done, especially for us in the consulting world. It does not do everything. It really super does not do everything. It needs a lot of review. It needs a lot of, it does need hand holding, but it takes some things which were mind-numbingly awful in the past, and it lets you get through that, so you can just focus on stuff that, you know, in other traditional projects may not have made MVP. So yeah, go ahead, Raf.
Yeah, and this might be more of a comment than it is a question, but I know if you can go back to the content production agent, but
Yeah, sure.
for that particular one, so it creates content, right? It lets you create content that's, you know, I'm assuming brand specific, or, you know, goes along with brand standards. And one of the other areas that Adobe offers that has a brand service is Gen Studio. So Gen Studio for performance marketing lets marketers create these experiences with approved content where you can build like ads that are for Meta or ads that are for LinkedIn, right? And then it will give you a brand score. And is that brand score coming from the same brand service that this is going to use eventually? So I'm just trying to, like, you know, sort of map, you know, what is the overlap? Are they in fact common services? It is a unified branding service that's going to be used for all of these. You know, that's the kind of stuff that I want to try to find out about.
This,
so like I said,
is
more of a comment than a question.
Yeah, well, to me, this is one of these reasons to go to Summit, because I feel like these are like new products that are ones that, like, they're like whole rabbit holes to go into and become an expert at. You know what I mean? This is a brand new world, because these are, to me, it's kind of like if I've been used to how much can I do with a hand screwdriver, and then someone just gave me, you know, a Makita hammer drill, and I'm like, what can I do now? Like you have power. You still have to do a lot of things as an architect and as a developer, but you can throw that at a lot more things. So
yeah, and you meant a Bosch, right?
I'm actually a DeWalt and Milwaukee guy. So that's
good. Yeah, that's good.
So, I should say my wife is. All the tools are actually hers. Great. Hey, so we're coming up on the end of our road for this thing. And I haven't even gotten through even remotely all of my slides. Development, governance, modernization agent. We talked about a little bit. Talked a little bit about licensing, and we didn't even really get into the official, some of these MCPs and skills that are out there. I need to put in a plug here that if you guys haven't, if you're in development land at all, and you haven't tried the edge delivery skills that are out there, AEM.live, I forget, there's a great little shortcut. It's like, but anyway, just search for Claude when you go to AEM.live. They are so much fun. They are so much fun. You can get so many things done so fast. It is like intoxicating. So
we could do a whole office hour about this topic, because as
really,
Ted said, it's so cool, and there's also like so much involving going on. It's all started this EDS, but now there's also like a unofficial alpha version from engineering with some kinds get hand on, where we even can do on the very traditional your jar file, having on your local machine for the on-prem, having an MCP on it, where you can do like now vibe coding or agentic coding, however you want to code it, like with classic on-prem, which is like more my world for the dinosaurs. Yeah. So there's a lot of cool stuff going on in this direction, and this is really going to be a huge change for especially all the tech people, like we're doing like all the coding in the past, and now you just get much faster and efficient.
Yeah, and I guess one thing that if I had a takeaway from any of this stuff, so if any of you guys have been in DevOps world, there's like a classic O'Reilly book on DevOps called it's just called Site Reliability Engineering. It's like a super classic. It's sre.book if you ever want to read it. But one of the things in the SRE book that they keep talking about again and again is like, what you want to do is remove toil. If it's a thing that you've been doing over and over again, you definitely, like rebooting a server, changing a silly config file, you want to get out of that. You want to get out of toil. To me, that's what a lot of this is. It's like identifying things in our life, in our technical world that were toil, and now you could just say, "Good, have a robot do the toil, and I can move up the stack." And I feel like if you treat it a lot like that, like you're still the one in control, you're still the one running things, but you don't have to do all the little stuff. You can let the robots handle that a bit.
Yeah. Or CSS skinning, especially for the backend guys. Backend guys don't like front end, and especially like this annoying pixeling in CSS. Let the agent do it, because they're getting pretty good at it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that puts us right about at our end. Thank you guys all so much for all the participation. This was super fun. And if you got more questions, I'll try to hang out in the Q&A pod and answer some of them. But once again, I thank you guys all for coming.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.